Welcome to the Circuit of Success Podcast.
The Circuit of Success Podcast.
With your host,
Brett
Gilliland.
Brett Gilliland, Visionary Wealth Advisory.
The Circuit of Success Podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland. Today I've got Shawn Walchef with me. Shawn, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I saw you had our mutual friend Katie Lee on your podcast, and so I thought, man, this guy's good. I'm going to reach out, and a few days later, here we are. So appreciate that. And you're out in San Diego, crushing it out there with Cali BBQ Media and restaurant business, and we'll dive into all that stuff, man. But Shawn, I always start with one basic but kind of high-level question: is what has helped make you the man you are today?
Well, I'll start with the man that raised me, which is my grandfather. My grandfather was Bulgarian. I never met my birth father. My mom had me when she was young, and my birth father was not around. So my grandfather stepped up and said, I'll take care of Shawn. And my mom moved from Denver, brought me to La Jolla, California, where my grandfather was. And my grandfather being an immigrant from Bulgaria, the lesson that he taught me, which I try to share on as many podcasts as I can, on as many stages as I can, is stay curious, get involved, and ask for help. Very simple. Stay curious, get involved, and ask for help. Curious people listen to podcasts. Curious people read books. Curious people ask questions. But it's not enough to just be curious. You actually have to get involved. I remember when I was young, going to school, my grandfather paid for private education, and I would always come home and he goes, Shawn, are you sitting in front of the class? I don't sit in front of the class, Grandpa. I sit in the back where all my buddies are. I hang out in the back. And he goes, you need to sit in front of the class. You need to stay after class. You need to ask questions. And it was always those 1%. I played sports growing up, and I always remember the athletes that won were the ones that were willing to do the work, the ones that were willing to ask questions, the ones that, the 1% of the group, the 5% of the group that were the elite. And that's getting involved.
Yep.
And the people that get involved, they're also the ones that fall down the most. One of my favorite quotes, I'm a father. I have an 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. And as they're growing up, the first thing I taught them was Batman's lesson, which is, why do we fall? Why do we fall, Bruce? So we can learn how to get back up. And if you're not willing to fall, you're not going to learn how to get back up. And if you don't learn how to get back up, then you're just not going to play the game that, the truly elite people play. And then finally, the most important lesson is, how do you ask for help? As a man, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, especially a restaurateur, now that we have a media business, like, asking for help is a superpower. Knowing that you don't have all the answers and that there's somebody out there that's figured out how to open up a restaurant, figured out how to open up 2 restaurants, how to build a profitable restaurant, how to build a catering business, how to implement technology into their restaurant. Somebody that's created a media business, became somebody that's monetized, being a creator, being an influencer. You have to be willing to ask for help. If you're not willing to ask for help, it's just going to take a lot longer. So yeah. If I think about success and the biggest impact in my life, it's definitely my grandfather. Stay curious, get involved, and it's ask for help.
I love that, man. We can just stop the podcast right there. We're done. Thanks for being a guest. Tell us a little bit about your background, man. You got into the restaurant business, right? And now to what you're doing today. When you got into the business, I'd assume you didn't think you'd be doing the stuff you're doing today. So can you kind of give us a little background of what's transpired over these last few years?
Yeah. So my grandfather was a medical doctor, and then he got into real estate. So he had high hopes that I would also become a medical doctor, or at worst, an attorney. I studied. I tried to get into not into medical school, tried to get into law school, took the exams, didn't do well on the exams, applied to all 3 law schools in San Diego and failed, didn't get into any one of them. And I remember going to my grandfather, and I was more disappointed in telling him than I was disappointed in myself because of his hopes for me. When I was in college, I remember wanting to take business classes, being pulled towards business and entrepreneurship, attending classes, and being bored out of my mind. I couldn't believe the business classes that I was taking, until an entrepreneur came as a guest speaker and started talking truth about the things that they did, the things that they messed up, how they grew, how they learned, the business partnerships that they failed, how they got sued, how they got product into market, how they grew the company, how they did branding, how they did marketing. All of a sudden I was taking all these notes.
Yeah.
For me, that was the beginning of understanding that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I ended up studying sociology, which I think I use more now than I ever did, because I study humans. And in the media business and restaurant business, everything is about relationships. It's a one-to-one relationship. So as much as we do podcasts and TikTok content and content on YouTube and Facebook, and I do Instagram stories, and I talk to entrepreneurs and business owners all the time about, turning their brand into a media brand, the audience is one. If you don't take care of the audience of one, you've got nothing. And everyone gets so thrown off by vanity metrics. They see, creators that have tens of thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of followers. And they go, oh, they got it all figured out. Yeah. No, they don't. No one's got it figured out. Nobody. I'll tell you right now, I have 27 clients, best in class restaurant technology clients. Some of them you know very well. They are the Ubers of the world, the Pepsis of the world, the Amazons of the world. We have done deals with all of those companies. Google, Toast, Restaurant 365. If you're a restaurant owner, these are all technology companies that are best in class. And I don't have it figured out. But we've come a long way in understanding that it's an audience of one. If you're willing to speak your truth, if you're willing to fall down, sound stupid, look stupid, start a podcast, start a YouTube channel, because that's what it is. In the beginning, all my friends made fun of me. Who do you think you are, Shawn? You think you're an influencer? BBQ Media? Well, first of all, what are you doing barbecue in San Diego? Like that, leave that to Texas, leave that to St. Louis, leave that to Memphis. And I'm like, we're going to learn how to do barbecue the right way. And how are we going to do it? It's low and slow. It's day over day over day. And when we started making brisket, it was terrible, terrible. But the brisket we make now, 18 years later, at our 3 locations in San Diego, it is much better. And it's supposed to get better tomorrow. And if it doesn't get better tomorrow, that's on me and that's on my leadership team. But we treat storytelling the same way. And I think, what's exciting for me is having someone like Katie Lee on our show that's an incredible entrepreneur that just absolutely dominates, that speaks her truth, that started in the restaurant business, now is in the CPG game, partnering with Target, expanding. But she's expanding just by being her. Like she's using tools and technology that are at our fingertips. Every person that's listening to this podcast, that's watching this YouTube video, it's a level playing field. You don't need to go pay Google to use YouTube. You can start making videos on YouTube. But when you start, no one's going to watch and no one's going to care, and it's going to hurt your ego.
That's right.
Are you willing to get back up and make another video? Are you willing to get back up the next day and make another video? Are you willing to get a little bit better and figure out maybe I need to do a better job with my hook? Maybe I need to do a better job with my lighting, my audio, all of those things. But all of those things prevent people from doing the thing that needs to happen in the beginning, which is to start.
Yep.
One of my favorite quotes is Arthur Ashe's quote: start where you are, do what you can with what you have. We have everything we need. Every single person has everything we need, thanks to all the technology. Thank you, Apple. Thank you, Steve Jobs. Thank you, Google. It's all right here. But in the beginning, no one cares. Like no one cares. And because no one cares, my ego feels bad. And that's like, well,
who cares about your damn ego?
Yeah. What's the ROI of podcasting? I wouldn't be in business if it wasn't for podcasting. That's the hard truth. I would have closed the restaurant. But podcasting has allowed us to build a media company, a B2B storytelling company on top of our restaurant. I have some of the greatest entrepreneurs. They have significant amounts of wealth with a B. And when they come to San Diego, they don't go to Gaslamp, they don't go to La Jolla, they don't go to Del Mar. They fly into San Diego and they drive to Spring Valley, which is 20 minutes east of downtown San Diego, off the beaten path, to come and see what we've done at our restaurant. And the only reason we've done that is because we've been willing to share the story, to build in public.
So talk about, obviously you built this restaurant, and now, it's a lot of my research, you find, I would call you a storyteller, right? And so how do you talk to our listeners that may not just be in the restaurant business? They own a wealth management firm, or they're the lawyer, the doctor, the whatever they're doing, right, in their everyday lives. How have you built it to where I'm no longer just this restaurant guy? I've built it into a media company as well as a very successful restaurant.
I think the biggest thing for me is framing, understanding. Like when I started the podcast, which was in 2017, we started a show called Behind the Smoke. When I started the podcast, that was when I say that we began our media journey. That's when we truly became storytellers, because up until that point, it was all about Cali BBQ. It was all about our restaurant. It was all about how do I get somebody to come in and buy a rack of ribs or buy brisket, or, come to an event that we're hosting, a barbecue festival that we're putting on, or, hey, we're catering for the Chargers. Take a look at what we're doing. So maybe you cater for your business. But once we started the podcast, it stopped being just about us and our brand. And it started to be about the community and about curiosity. It got to that stay curious, get involved. Well, getting involved was asking questions. It's sitting in front of the class, knowing that whoever's listening to this podcast, you have people that you care about and you respect. Podcasting gives you an opportunity to learn more about them. I guarantee you, how many shows have you done?
Well, you're my 470th interview. It's
insane. So 470, you're part of the 1% of podcasters, by the way. Yeah. Only 1% of podcasters get past 25 episodes.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I started mine in 17 as well, February 6, 2017.
It's a true commitment to the craft. But I'll ask you, have you had anyone that's a friend of yours on the podcast?
Yeah, I have.
Did you learn more when you had them on the show than you've ever learned sitting with them on playing golf or wherever you interact with that friend?
Yeah, I've played golf. The one I'm thinking of in particular, we did it during COVID in my basement, and I learned more about him and his family. Like his parents and his brothers and, their business, and way more in a 50-minute interview than I've learned over, 15 years of knowing the guy. I think to add to that, sorry to interrupt, I think you actually build a deeper relationship too. So like guys that I have had on or ladies I've had on, the relationship is so deeper because of the discussions we've just had, right? You and I, we don't know each other from Adam. We will be connected for a long time.
We'll be connected forever.
Yeah.
Like now, anytime someone talks about San Diego, you go, I know a guy in San Diego. He's a crazy guy who has a barbecue company and a media company. Like you should go see him, or you should call him, or you should connect him with him.
Yep.
That's how this thing works. Like we don't need to ask for permission to have this on the internet, on Spotify globally.
Right.
There can be someone in London that runs a wealth management firm or a restaurant that's listening to this podcast right now. And I hope if you're watching or if you're listening, you can reach out to me. I'm weirdly available at Shawn P. Walchef on Instagram is the fastest, but I live for stories like this, because this summer I'm going to London and I will meet 3 of my closest friends that I've never met in real life. I'm meeting them for the first time.
Wow.
I met them through podcasting. I met them through LinkedIn content. I met them through Instagram, and they've become close, like inside my tight circle of friends. And they're going to show me and my family London. We're going to go pick out restaurants that are Toast Restaurants, which is our title sponsor of our show. We're going to go to Dublin. We're going to do all of these things just because I know, back to your question, it's framing. Yeah. I knew that I wasn't the only restaurant owner on earth that had questions, that didn't think I had all the answers. And if I could ask and interview other successful small business owners, restaurant owners, people that were great at branding, people that were great at marketing, people that were great at finance, if I could get them on the show and ask them questions and learn from them, not only would I selfishly grow, but maybe one person.
Yep.
That saw the clip, that heard the podcast, that watched the Facebook clip that we made, or the YouTube clip, or how do we turn it into, it's like, people get so confused. All it is audio, video, words, and images. Like that's all we're doing.
That's right.
We don't need to overthink what we're doing.
Yeah. It's the old paralysis by analysis too, right? I remember where I was at my friend's old house now, but in December of 2016, I went to a couple's. There was 5 couples. We went to this guy's house for dinner, this other couple's house. I said, hey man, we're sitting around having a drink. I'm like, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. What do you guys think? And they're like, you should do it. I'm like, dude, who's going to listen to me? Like, and there's no way I can find 52 people that want me to interview them. And it's that self-defeating thinking that we all have. And I just think again that paralysis by analysis, whether it's a podcast or again wealth management, media business, whatever, man, you got to take action. And so where do you find that drive on days you don't want to do it, but on just where do you find that drive to take the action, do the things that you're doing right now?
So I'll bring it back to my grandfather. I think, one of the most important things for me is that there's a big distinction between motivation and inspiration. Motivation is getting motivated to do something one time. Inspiration is living in spirit of knowing that I can't get it out of my head to do the thing that I was born to do. And having spent so much time with my grandfather, writing his life story at the end of his life, he traveled to Spain. I was living in Spain. I was studying abroad, and my grandfather said, "Shawn, I'm going to come and help. I'm going to come and pick you up because I want you to help me write my book." And we self-published his book, How a Bulgarian Farm Boy Grew Wealthy in La Jolla, California. And by doing that work with him, by helping share his story, I actually got it translated and got it published in Bulgarian, his native language. It's in the village that he grew up in multiple villages. And by doing that work, I got to learn more about him and what he went through. He was the smartest kid in his village. He had to go to a different village to get into high school. He went there, became the smartest kid, skipped classes. He wanted to be a medical doctor more than anything, had the highest test scores, but because he didn't have money and he didn't have power, he couldn't get into medical school in Bulgaria.
Wow.
Did he stop? He didn't. He asked questions. He asked, where else can he go? And he found another medical school in Germany that he could go to, and he applied to. The problem, he didn't speak any German. He learned how to speak German. He learned how to speak German and study medicine and went to school in Germany. While he was in Germany, World War II started and bombings were happening in Berlin. So he's trying to study German, study medicine, and avoid war. So when I look at my problems, trying to get people to come and buy barbecue at my restaurant, I think back to how fortunate I am. I'm beyond fortunate to have problems that I consider problems or annoyances because they're opportunities. If my grandfather had the tools, even when we were writing his life story in 2003, do you know what he was begging for? He was begging for the type of technology that would allow him to dictate, using a dictator, his ideas of what he wanted in his book, and then have it print out so that he could actually, read it. That technology didn't exist.
Right. Now he could palm of your hand.
Now he could just talk to AI and it would have made the book for him.
Right.
How many people that are listening to this have loved ones that they care about, fathers that they respect, mothers that they respect, grandparents, aunts, uncles that have incredible stories? And you go to Thanksgiving and you go to Christmas and you ask this question and you're so tired of hearing the story, but when they're no longer at that dinner table, you wish that you had captured that story.
Yep.
You wish that you turned voice memo on your smartphone and just let dad tell the story of him growing up or when they lost the house or the troubles that he went through, whatever that story is. But then not only listen, ask questions.
Yeah.
Ask questions like a podcaster, ask questions like a journalist, ask questions like an attorney would in a discovery process. Do research, figure out what else was happening. Now, all of a sudden, you have this depth of storytelling that you just can't put a price tag on. Yeah. The fact that I now have a book that my grandfather and I co-wrote that I can read to my 8-year-old boy and my 6-year-old girl about his life, about what he did. And now I married a Bulgarian woman. So every summer I go back to Bulgaria and my kids get to go see the land that their mother is from. They get to go hang out with their aunts and uncles and grandparents. They speak Bulgarian, but also they get to learn about my grandfather, who is from a neighboring city.
It's incredible, man. It's funny. For my wife, I've been my wife since 1998, so long time. And a few years back, I interviewed her mom and dad without her knowing it. And that was her birthday gift. And, it was an hour and something minutes of stuff that, I didn't know. They weren't my parents, but, from how they met to their childhood to getting married and having kids and all that stuff. And it was just incredible. So, talk to us about, that leader that's listening to this right now, again, whatever business model they're in, what will win in 2026 for companies that maybe is different than what we were doing 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago?
I think the most important thing, if you're a business owner that's listening right now, is the truth vibrates the fastest. At our company, at Cali BBQ Media, we say, be the show, not the commercial. The problem that every brand has, that every entrepreneur has, that every business owner has, is that when we think of marketing, we think of advertising. No one wants to be advertised to. And now I remember as a father, when my son was maybe a year, 2 years old, I remember him interacting with a tablet. He was watching YouTube Kids. The first digital button that my son learned, do you know what it was?
The little play button on the iPad thing?
Nope, not play.
The iPad button?
Nope.
I don't know.
It was skip.
Huh.
He was 2 years old, but he didn't want his stories interrupted. Be the show, not the commercial. Humans of all ages, we don't want to be advertised to, but we want to be entertained and we want to be educated. So if you're a business owner, you can entertain, you can educate, you can be you. The problem that people have is that they think they need to become a creator and they need to have a script and they need to become an actor and they need to get lights and they need to, none of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is who you are, the essence of who you are every single day, taking the phone and turning it on, literally just pressing record, and then you doing whatever you do in real life. And knowing that you being you is valuable to someone on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just interesting the fact that works, right? And I think for me, when I first got started, I was doing audio only back then because it wasn't really video stuff.
That's true.
And, then I went into starting to do little video clips and doing stuff on my own. And I think that's the other thing too. It doesn't have to be perfect, man. The stuff I did early on, I look back on, I still put it out there for the universe. And some of them were awful. I remember having a Cardinal Hall of Famer and my foot hit the wire and I didn't know it. And it moved the camera, right? And you got about like half of me and like half of him, but we still put it out there, so now I got to have him back on so we can redeem ourselves now that we've got a team of people to do it. But I think, again, you just got to do it, whether it's podcasting, YouTubing, law, whatever, just freaking take action and go do it and be okay with it. And so, and back to the smartphone now, and and it's funny you say not be the show, not the commercial. I was so tired of watching commercials on YouTube. I watch a lot more YouTube than I ever have. Yeah. I finally just bought the family pack to where none of us have to watch commercials anymore, right? There's no more skip button, and it's been like 3 days. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Not having to watch this damn commercial. That's the little things in life, right, Shawn?
It 100% is.
It's the little things. So talk to us about how powerful this phone is. And so for those marketing brain people out there, what can we do with this to impact the world and make it a better place?
I think the essence and the framework that we teach is anyone can become a media company. You have to choose to become it. And by choosing to become it, what we teach is that you don't need to spend a lot of money. What you need is a belief in the smartphone. Right now, that is the tool. And it's called smartphone storytelling. It's understanding you have you don't need to have the latest iPhone. I don't care. I honestly do not care. You are connected to the internet. Your phone has the capabilities to get your message out, but you have to start. And the best way to start is you have to be willing to start a digital flash mob. Do you know what a flash mob is?
I don't.
A flash mob. Do you know how to start a digital flash mob?
I have no idea.
You have to be willing to hear music that nobody else hears. You have to be the crazy person in the town square that starts dancing to music that nobody else hears. But once you start dancing and once you start talking about your truth, who you are, why you're in business, who you help, the things that you believe in, all you need is one other person. Yeah. Sometimes that might take one video, that might take 10 videos, that might take 20 podcasts, it might take 100 podcasts. But then you get another person that goes, wait, who is this barbecue media guy? He's talking about digital hospitality. I don't know what that means, but smartphone storytelling, like maybe. And then you have two people in the town square that are dancing. Those 2 people become 4 people. And compounding interest, all of a sudden you have a community of people that believe in restaurants, that believe in technology, that believe in storytelling. We've been doing this now for 18 years since I opened up the restaurant, 8 years since I've been a media company. What I can tell you unequivocally is that having the courage to start and knowing that you look stupid and sound stupid is the greatest gift that you can have. Because 99%, back to my grandfather talking about all the kids in the class, all the kids in the class want to be in the back of the class. They don't want to be called on because they don't want to get the answer wrong. Right. You have to have the courage to raise your hand. I teach my son and my daughter, they have their own YouTube channel. I want them to learn how to be effective communicators online and in real life. And the best way to do that is to start.
That's right.
It's
just hit record.
Just hit record. Just hit publish. There's 4 P's in the cycle. You plan, you produce, you publish, and you promote. Planning, producing, publishing, and promoting. And you repeat that cycle. Everyone's really good at planning. They have an idea of what I want my business to look like online. Producing, now you actually have to hit record. Once you hit record, people are good at hitting record. But then it's like, oh, I don't like how I sound. Do you see the lighting on that? I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow comes and they don't do it. You have to actually hit publish. And then once you hit publish, you can't post and ghost. You actually have to stay on the platform and see, did somebody hear my crazy music in the town square? Yeah. Does somebody actually give a shit about what I'm talking about? Yeah. Oh, they do? Maybe I should comment with them. Maybe I should connect with them. Maybe I should send them a Calendly link and book some time. Maybe this is a potential client. Maybe this is the ROI of podcasting, of content that everyone's been talking about.
Yeah, it's solid, man. That's awesome. What belief did you used to hold about leadership that you no longer believe?
That you could do it alone. That I was an entrepreneur that could figure it out by myself. I still had a belief. I still had a belief in the internet that I could use Google or use YouTube and find all the answers, that I didn't actually need to ask a human, because asking a human, there's a vulnerability in that I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. It's different to go to a search engine or now go to AI and say, I don't know. But when you ask a human who's been there and done that, they have this wealth of knowledge and this ability to connect, and they actually want you to win. The more that I started talking to restaurant owners about the things that they'd failed and the things that they did right, the more I realized, like, when somebody asks me, hey, Shawn, any advice to me opening up a restaurant? I can't wait to talk to that person. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. I've already lost all the money. I've already made all the mistakes. I already went through lawsuits. I already had failed partnerships. Don't do all of these things. Make sure you do it this way. You do you, but this is what I did. And this didn't work for me. Take it or leave it. And understanding that and knowing that, I think is probably, I say ask for help, because it's a reminder to myself to continue to ask for help.
Yeah. So talk about the difference in maybe your restaurant. It's a restaurant, Cali BBQ restaurant brand in San Diego, how you have taken technology and the storytelling that we've been talking about and kind of flip the script on what the restaurant experience is like.
So what we believe, our deep thesis is digital hospitality. That's one of the first podcasts that we started, longest running show that we've done. And the premise of digital hospitality is every business needs to build digitally first. You have to build the digital infrastructure of your business first, especially brick and mortar businesses. So especially if you're a brick and mortar business, you have to have the digital infrastructure of having a website, of understanding when someone comes to your website, what's the experience like? Does it load? Is it mobile first? All of those things matter. And then the second part is that every business is in the hospitality business, whether they know it or not. I bet you didn't realize you were in the hospitality business. Wealth management is 100% in the hospitality business. Yep. The reason why you have clients, the reasons why you have locations, the reason why people have invested in your business, have given you money to advise them, is because of how you make them feel.
Yeah, for sure.
And part of that is, how do they learn about you? When they learn about you, how do you treat them? When someone introduces them, hey, you got to meet, you got to meet my friend, because he's going to tell you exactly what you need. And he's helped me. Yeah. How do you handle that call? How do you handle that in-person meeting? All of those things are all hospitality.
Yeah, 100%. I'm trying to think of the book. I'm reading about hospitality right now. I'm totally drawing a blank on the name of it.
Unreasonable Hospitality.
Unreasonable Hospitality.
Will Guidara, phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great book. It's a great book. And it's funny. That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, we're in the hospitality business. That's why I want to read the book and get better at what we're doing. You just always got to be working on the craft.
Do you know who the biggest hospitality business is on earth?
Ritz-Carlton? I don't know. Who?
They're probably driving on your street right now. They're probably driving on my street.
I don't know.
Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And people don't understand that Amazon is in the hospitality business.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they make you feel, the way that they make my wife feel, the way that they fulfill orders, the way that they allow you to return orders, all of those things are all hospitality. And it's in the digital space.
Yep. It was funny. My wife and I were having a discussion this week. We had, every day there's something gets dropped off at the house, right? And the Alexa in the house said, "Hey, would you like to give your driver a thumbs up or whatever, a rating, 5-star rating or whatever?" And so we're like, "Sure, yeah, he did a great job," or whatever we said. And I'm like, you know what they're doing? They're training us to in a little bit to be tipping their drivers. Probably that's exactly what they're doing. Instead of saying give them a 5-star, do you want to give them a $5 bill? And
absolutely.
But you're right. I mean, it's the whole thing from, started with books, and now you can get anything you want in the world is on there, but it can be at your house within hours or a day. And we just keep going back, man. They've trained us all. It's incredible. What's one thing that you wish every business owner understood about content? Because I'm a huge believer in content. I can't, and I'm sure you're the same way. How many people have called me and said, "Hey, can you help me with my social media?" Or should I start a podcast? Like, I know we've been talking about it for, 31 minutes here, but what is it you wish every business owner understood?
The answer to the test. Mm-hmm. This is the answer to the content test. Quality content is bullshit. Whatever your thoughts are about a quality video, a quality podcast, a quality post on LinkedIn, it's all bullshit. The only thing that matters in the content game and the storytelling game is quantity plus speed plus consistency. That's the only way you'll ever get to quality. Quantity, speed, consistency will eventually equal quality. And for the best storytellers on earth, it's never enough. I love to talk about studying comedians. Comedians are the masters of craft. They are the masters of storytellers. The Jerry Seinfelds, the Chris Rocks, you name the comedian, whoever your favorite comedian is. By the time they get to the Netflix special, by the time they get to the stadium or the arena, do you know how many times they've told that same joke?
Oh, yeah.
Quantity, speed, consistency eventually will equal quality. But everyone wants to make a video and think that it's going to be phenomenal and be viral and it's going to transform their business. It's just not how it works.
Well, it makes me think about Nate Bargatze. He's here in town tonight. He's, 16 miles behind me here. And the first time we saw him in St. Louis was in this little theater, right? Yep. There's probably a few hundred of us. And now he's selling out the hockey arena, right? Where the biggest country music stars come to town and sell out. And here he is telling the same joke with quantity, speed, consistency. Now you're selling out stadiums.
Play the hits. That the craziest part for me, learning about story and practicing storytelling and teaching storytelling, is the human element, that we get so tired of hearing the story that we think everyone's heard it.
Yeah.
I assume that no one's heard anything. No one knows anything about me, my business, nothing. And like when you go to the restaurant technology space and you go to the trade shows, people know who I am because we've been posting a lot of videos. We do a lot of podcasts. We show up, I speak on stages, but I still assume that no one knows who I am. And that creates opportunity, and it gives me a chance to tell our story. I'm a barbecue restaurant owner. I believe in technology. I'm partnered with Toast. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I traveled to Bulgaria. I'm a Charger fan. All of those things, they all intersect. And people are like, well, that's my business life versus my personal life. I'm like, that's way too confusing. I have one life. You get who you get. You get who you get on it. Sam, the cooking guy, who's a close friend of mine. He's a mentor, 4 million followers on YouTube. He's here locally in San Diego, and he's been mentoring me since I started my media journey. But he told me something. He's like, it's very easy for me because I just tell people, be authentic, and people don't understand what I'm talking about. So I tell them, if you don't like me on camera, you're not going to like me in real life. If you like me on camera, you're going to like me in real life because I'm just the same person. I don't have time to bullshit the camera or change for the camera, for the YouTube show, how I look on TV. I am who I am. You get all of it. And you either like it or you don't, but whatever. I'm going to live my life. And you have to accept that a lot of people might not like you. And that's totally fine with me.
Yep. Couldn't agree more, man. What, I was on your Instagram and I saw you had the Shaquille O'Neal on, and you guys were talking, and then Dana White walks in. So I mean, like, tell me about that. What's going on there?
So we have a show called Restaurant Influencers. It is the first time that we monetized as a media company. We had our podcast for 5 years. We made no money. Everyone told me I was crazy. Why are you doing a podcast? Doesn't make any sense. But I knew that there were other business owners that I was trying to connect with. And I knew that this was a tool that was going to allow me to do that. Fast forward to launching Restaurant Influencers, sponsored by Toast. So Toast is our point of sale technology provider.
That's who we use right over here at our speakeasies, Toast.
There you go. So they are powering 150,000 restaurants, publicly traded, $7 billion company. I'm on their customer advisory board. They believed in the show because of the reps that we had put in, because of the quantity, the speed, and the consistency. They knew that this quality project that I was pitching would be good. We partnered with Entrepreneur Magazine, and we created a really cool show. And that cool show gave me the opportunity to work with Big Chicken, which is Shaquille O'Neal's restaurant brand. Sam Stanovic and Josh Halpern. Josh Halpern was the CEO. He came on Restaurant Influencers. I talked to him about working with Shaquille O'Neal. What was it like building the Big Chicken brand? At the end of the conversation, I asked him, what are the chances that I get Shaquille O'Neal on a show? And he goes, there's no chance. And I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah.
Challenge
I'm sure.
accepted.
I'm sure he's really busy. Fast forward a year and a half later, we worked with the Big Chicken team, and they paid for our media team to come out and cover their Big Chicken annual conference. At that Big Chicken annual conference, my wife, my son, my daughter, we spent 2 hours in a green room with Shaquille O'Neal and Perry Rogers. And during my conversation with Shaquille O'Neal, Dana White walked in because he was the keynote speaker. Him and Shaq are friends. He volunteered to come and, keynote in front of all the Big Chicken franchisees. And he walked in, and I stopped the podcast and was like, hey, Dana White, like, great to see you. Would you like to come and say what's up to Shaq? And and to the point of, I assume that no one's seen that.
Yeah.
I recently, just a couple of days ago, reposted me meeting Gary Vaynerchuk for the first time.
I saw that too.
I have people that I work with that are clients of mine, that like Mike Ungaro, who he has a Kings of Fish podcast that we helped launch. Our media company helped him launch. He has a show on Amazon Prime. He has one of the most successful restaurants in Southern California. He's opening up a new restaurant, $20 million restaurant in Monterey Wharf. And he's like, dude, when did you meet Gary Vee? And I'm like, how have you not seen that? Like, haven't we been friends long enough? But back to the point, I assume that no one's seen anything.
Yeah.
I assume that no one knows that we met Shaquille O'Neal, even though, anybody that is friends with me on Facebook or follows me on Instagram or connected with me on LinkedIn or YouTube, all the things, like Shaquille O'Neal is now part of our story because we believe in storytelling.
Yeah. What were the days like when you weren't, profitable and you were working your ass off, and maybe you saw the light at the end of the tunnel. You believed in the light at the end of the tunnel, but it was a very, very small, faint light. What were you doing to keep the grind?
Goes back to the foundation of my grandfather, is understanding, like, this is my gift. This grind of not being able to pay the bills at the restaurant, not figuring out how we're going to pay payroll, figuring out how are we going to pay for media payroll that we have no income to support. Like, none of the financials made any sense. It was like anybody would come in and go, Shawn, this, like, you need to stop doing this. This is a terrible idea. This doesn't make any sense. And thank God for my wife, thank God for Rositza for believing in me, knowing that I would somehow figure it out and giving me the time, because it goes back to, it's just a matter, one of my favorite things that I've seen on the internet recently was Seth Rogen, famous actor. He talks about, he was on a podcast and they're asking, how do people become successful in Hollywood? It's like, the answer is easy. You just don't quit. Most people quit.
Yeah.
I mean, most people stop podcasting. Most people start a YouTube channel and stop. Most people start posting on TikTok and they're like, I don't see any results. I quit. Most people start a restaurant and they don't see it. It's not profitable. And like the amount of failure graves where it didn't work out. I know that I'm going to figure out a way. Like I just have this inherent belief that I will figure out a way to connect the dots. You know, Danny Meyer, who's actually
St. Louis guy.
Big St. Louis guy. He's actually going to come on my show next year. I reached out to his team.
Nice.
He's going to be on my show. He's been a big whale on my to get podcast. But he talks about ABCD. Always be collecting the dots so that you can always be connecting the dots. And the more dots that I've collected from the best technology brands on earth, why they work with restaurants, how they work with restaurants, how they sell to restaurants, how they impact restaurants, the storytellers, the creators, the YouTubers, the TikTokers, the podcasters, the restaurateurs, the hospitality. The more that I connect those dots, I realize how small this industry is. It's a small industry that are all trying to do the same thing that a St. Louis Pappy's, one of my favorite barbecue restaurants, and use Old Hickory Pits. I went out to St. Louis. I did a whole tour. We went to Pappy's. Absolutely love the brand. Understanding that the problems that they have running inventory, doing payroll, paying their bills, marketing, it's the same problems that we have in San Diego. Yeah. It's the same problem that a restaurant in London has. It's the same problem that a restaurant in Sydney has. It's the same problem that a restaurant in the Philippines has. They're all the same types of problems. And technology is getting to the place where, listen, Google's a global company. Apple's a global company. You know, Toast will be a global company. Like all of those things are happening. So if I'm at the intersection of it and I'm willing to do the work and I'm willing to not quit, we're going to do some really cool stuff. And we are doing some really cool stuff.
Awesome. What's one app on your phone? If I grabbed your phone from you right now and started to delete something, what would you not want me to delete and why?
Great question. I love that question. And I will give the shout out to Kyle Pfluger, who's on my media team. He's been with us since the beginning. He just built a custom CRM tool for our media company. So he has essentially gotten rid of Notion, which is a place where we put all of our shows. We host 14 shows, either internally or shows that we produce for clients, technology clients, whether that's YouTubes or podcasts. Every single long form piece of content, short form piece of content, but all of our deal flow. So any type of prospecting where I'm going to a trade show and it's a technology company that is looking to get into content or looking to build their pipeline, it's all into this Cali BBQ Media CRM, custom built. And like, that's the world that we live. He was trying for a very long time to find a custom solution for a CRM that works for our needs. And instead he just built it.
That's awesome. Good to have smart people on the team, isn't it?
People that believe in technology. Technology is moving faster than it ever has.
Yeah.
And that's very exciting for us because
spend some time on that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was say spend some time on the believing in investing in people, because I remember, you know, my first assistant I got when I was 24 years old. I think I didn't need an assistant, but I knew if I invested in people that I could grow exponentially more, right? But then you talk to a lot of other people and they're like, well, I need to do this, this, and this, or they're at 7:00 at night doing something in their office because they don't want to just go hire the extra people. And I can say without question, I would not be where I'm at today without the amazing human beings that we've worked with for so many years. So how do people make that investment, believe the investment will work so they can get a return, not only of money, but return of time, and return, in my opinion, of happiness to go out and build the things they want to build?
So I'll take this a different direction. The first place that I would advise that you invest is in yourself. Because if you don't invest in yourself, you'll never have the ideas that you need to invest in people.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I spent so much time and effort trying to figure it out myself. And then I hired a mentor. I hired somebody I respect and admired, David Meltzer, in the media space.
Oh, yeah.
And I started talking to him about my barbecue business and how I wanted to create a media business. And we started having conversations of, how do you go about doing that? Like, where do you start? How do you start getting deals? How do you start getting income? Those things allowed me to have the conversation where I started adding team members that I didn't have money to pay for. Even recently, over the last 2 years, there were times where I knew that I needed Kyle's help and he was part-time and I needed him full-time. And I knew that if I do it, it's a risk because the cash flow might not be there in a couple months. But I also knew that if it was going to help him and he was going to dedicate his time and resources, it was going to get things off of my plate, off of Stover's plate, off of Eric's plate. And then we could start to really build something different and unique. And like right now, I mean, we're putting out a proposal a day to work with a new technology company. It's crazy. And that's all deal flow. I don't have a sales team. So back to your question, how do you invest in people? My plan for 2026 is to invest in somebody. So it's not content-led and founder-led sales. I actually have somebody that I'm paying for to do outbound sales, to go to the trade shows. When I'm there podcasting, working with clients, they're actually going from booth to booth to booth, telling people, hey, do you know about Cali BBQ? Do you know about Shawn? What do you do for marketing? What do you do for content? What do you do for social? All of those things, I have to make that investment so that I can remove myself from the equation, from the sales equation, and we can actually build an organization with enterprise value.
Yeah. Well, I think what I'm hearing too today is this, it's, Starbucks talks about it's about people, not coffee, right? And Same thing for you. It's not about the brisket, right? It's not about the brisket. It's about the people and the one-on-one connection you talk about and serving them. Now, obviously you got to have good brisket. You got to have good coffee, right? Yep. But it's not about the brisket. What does it personally mean for you? You can see this sticker here, future greater than your past is what this stands for, achieving a future greater than your past. It's our mission statement. What does it mean to you and how do you personally measure that, achieving a future greater than your past?
It's a really interesting question. I'm somebody that dreams big dreams. I have big dreams for myself, for my wife, for my kids. I have big dreams for our restaurant. I have big dreams for our media company. I'm also a person that's made a lot of mistakes in the past. Willing to confront those mistakes, do inventory, share about those mistakes to somebody that might learn. But really, the most important thing for me is to be present right here, right now. And everything that I do is trying to slow down. I'm a person that goes really fast. I wake up at 4 a.m. I do sunrise gratitude practice. I try to work out. I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to get off of, blood pressure medicines. I'm overweight. It's something that I'm not proud about. The only way for me to do that is to shift how I think about right here and right now. And my kids are, like I said, I have an 8-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. And I'm trying to enjoy driving them to school, knowing that we have one Spotify song before we get to school, and I get to walk hand in hand with my daughter, and she's going to ask me big questions that I might not know how to answer, but I'm going to love just learning about how she thinks, because there's going to be a time where I'm not going to be able to drop her off at school. She's going to be in middle school. She's going to be in high school, and those things are going to go so quickly that's why I prioritize bringing my family to meet Shaquille O'Neal, to take him out of school, because my son's in 3rd grade and 1st grade. Like, we can do it. School's not happy about it, but I know how much they're learning going to New York City. Yeah. I brought him to New York City. We went to a Google restaurant influencer event, and my media company got to bring me, my wife, my son, my daughter out and interview with Jose Andres, his group, and the best technology companies. And I mean, we got to film inside Google offices and do restaurant influencers podcasts with like the head of food. This woman is the head of food of Google, 100,000 employees at Google. Wow. She's in charge of every single food decision at Google. And I got to have that conversation with her. But more importantly, I got to bring my son and my daughter and my wife. And like, by doing that, it helps me slow down and go like, I want them to experience this.
Man, I think that's awesome. And I will tell you, as a guy that's got a kid that's going to be 21 this year, it goes fast, man. And it's, I remember those days of holding their hands, walking into kindergarten and all that stuff. And so certainly goes fast. So enjoy the moment, man. Where do our listeners find more of you, man? I know you mentioned your Instagram earlier.
Yep. I'm weirdly available. You can go to Instagram. Like I said, is the fastest. Shawn P. Walchef, ShawnPWalchef. But I'm active on Facebook. I'm active on TikTok. We have a YouTube channel. You can go to betheshow.media if you actually want to start a show, if you want to start a podcast for your business.